Well, welcome everyone. Welcome back to the Business Owner Spotlight series. My name is Tanner O'Brien. I am a senior partner here at the Action Coach in Central Texas firm. So excited to be sitting down with Bart Davis today, the co-founder and CEO of 512 Financial, to hear a little bit about his story, his journey into entrepreneurship and business and things that are important, and get to know 512 Financial a little bit deeper. So Bart, with that, I'm just going to go ahead and hand it over to you. Why don't you just share with us a little bit on, who you are, your background, and a little bit about 512 Financial.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me, Tanner. As you mentioned, I'm the co-founder and CEO of 512 Financial. We are a outsourced accounting services firm. So we provide staff accountants, accounting managers, controllers, VPs of finance, CFOs, and HR personnel as well, all on a fractional basis. So the concept here is, we look and feel like employees of our client companies. We're not, and by that I mean, we take on email addresses. We're in your Slack channels, or Teams messages, or G chats. You can reach out to us just like you would anyone on your full-time team. But we spend, maybe 50% or 75% of our time on any given company, which, obviously comes at a lower price point than an FTE. So that's kind of who we are and why we're here.
That's really cool. So how long have you specifically been doing this, Bart?
So I have been doing the fractional accounting / CFO work myself. I have been doing it since 2014. 512 Financial is brand new in terms of name and brand. We officially launched on January 1st of 2022. But I brought with me a few team members from what I was doing previously under a company called P180 Investments. So like I said, new in brand and new in name, but what we do and how we do it has been kind of established since 2014.
That's fantastic. Congratulations on stepping out, starting the business, that sort of thing. I know that's maybe not never, but not always a super easy choice, and it comes with its ups and downs. So congratulations on taking that step and being here today. Out of curiosity, just kind of looking at 512 Financial, if I'm watching this and a potential client of yours, of your business, what who is your best your best client, your best customer, in terms of, like, if I was watching this, how would I know that you're definitely the business I want to work with, and I'd be a great client for you?
Yeah, so I think in general, companies that are growing, that are experiencing the challenges that come with that growth, right? They're good challenges to have, but it can be difficult. Any company going through some, those types of growing pains are probably a potential customer for us. And what I mean by that is maybe you've got systems that are, old or didn't scale with your company, or your founder or co-founder who really knows products, was also kind of doing the fractional doing the CFO work at night because someone had to, and they've got some background in it. But at some point they realize, in order to help really scale the company, they have to focus on what they know and what they're good at, and allow someone like us to focus on the other parts that are obviously very necessary, but maybe not that co-founder's bread and butter. So again, anyone experiencing growth and experiencing the challenges that come with that it could be a fit for us.
Beautiful. And for those that are watching this, interested in kind of connecting with you a little bit deeper, see that you've been pretty active on LinkedIn, at least for the last several months or so. But you had some really cool posts out there, and one of them was the importance or the benefits of hiring a fractional CFO. So do you mind sharing a little bit about kind of the details around the benefits of doing that, and kind of why that can be so important, especially for growing and scaling businesses?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, I think there are tons of reasons to do it. From my perspective, I think the post you're referencing, I used an example of a client where we've had someone sitting in their fractional CFO seat for the better part of 2022. And over that time, they've kind of fielded some interest from external investors in either an additional fundraising round or potentially an acquisition. And when they were first receiving that interest, their valuation was X. And in this more recent set of discussions, since our resource came on, their valuation had gone up by 125%. And obviously, there's a lot of factors that contribute to that, right? Their own growth, which has nothing to do with us. The offering that they have, their marketing, a lot of things that have nothing to do with us. But they did specifically, one of their board members cite, that having the reporting package that they have now, being able to display the growth and the KPIs and the trends that they know are in their business, but maybe aren't so obvious to external folks. Being able to have that ability with a seasoned person in that fractional CFO seat was a big part of that valuation increase. So that's one specific example of just of how and why having someone who has been through this, has helped companies raise money, get acquired, go get debt, things of that nature. Having them on in a fractional basis that is not going to cost you as much as going out and finding that person full time is something that we've found our customers to be really appreciative of.
That's awesome. And I just have to kind of jump in there and share that it's understanding those numbers pieces is so critical, especially as you are a scaling, growing business, when you're going from a couple team members to a larger organization. That CFO role, that financial role, is so pivotal in the ability to gain access to capital, or look at kind of what's the appropriate trends moving forward in the business. If we always talk about here at ActionCOACH, the financial mastery is one of the foundational pillars to be able to build anything upon. If we don't have that figured out, it's really difficult to build the business successfully. So it's really cool to hear your context on how that can be played out in different ways, and have access to really seasoned professionals, even if the business isn't quite at the point where they can hire someone like that full time. So if we could, I'd love to kind of shift direction a little bit and just talk about your journey, getting into business ownership, or just kind of journey in entrepreneurship, that sort of thing. I'll just kind of start off with, is this kind of twofold? First part being, is this type of career path into the financial world, CFO style, is that kind of always the path that you thought that you would be going down, from a young kid all the way up? Kind of what did that journey look like? And then as a secondary side question, specifically in business ownership and kind of taking that step to being out on your own and running a business in conjunction with that, was that always what you had intended? Or kind of tell me a little bit about how that journey unfolded.
Sure. As a kid, I was certain that I'd be a professional soccer player. So things have not quite panned out, in that regard. Coming out of school, had an accounting degree, went and did my time, so to speak, as an auditor with PwC in Houston, and then had this opportunity to come work for the guy who's now my co-founder, Joel Trammell, back in 2014. And so Joel is a serial entrepreneur, has had a lot of successes here in Austin over the last 25 to 30 years. And he was at the time the board chairman and lead investor in two kind of mid-sized software companies, 60 to 80 employees apiece. And really liked the fractional accounting and finance team model, and was looking for someone to come help build that out. And so that person was me, built it out just for those two companies originally. And then, over the last many years, there's been a lot of iterations of what that has looked like, including both of those two companies getting acquired, one in 2018, one in 2021, kind of accidentally taking on some additional clients after that M&A activity, specifically in 2018. And so over those 7 or 8 years working for Joel, I had a lot of what do you want to be when you grow up discussions. And my answer changed pretty regularly. So sometimes that answer was, I want to be a CFO. When I first started for him, I was like an assistant controller. So when I first started that conversation, was I want to be a CFO. That shifted at times to I want to be a CEO. It shifted at times back or to I have no clue what I want to be when I grow up. And so when we sold that second business, excuse me, when we sold that second business, there were a few paths to potentially go down. One of them, which I explored, was, go be a CFO at fully dedicated CFO at some other company. One of them was, keep the team existing, just that kind of core. There was 4 people, and keep doing what we were doing, which was, servicing kind of Joel portfolio companies and or kind of, friends and family or friends or networking within his specific network. And then lastly, which is obviously the direction that we wound up going, was, over those 7 years, like, it seems like we're doing something right here, right? A couple of businesses got acquired. We've helped a couple others, get through audits or get through a fundraising round. Maybe we should, spin this out into its own entity that Bart, you run, and see if we can scale this thing. And that was a different, even when I had said, a CEO at various times is what I want to be when I grow up. I don't think I had envisioned it in this way, right? But it's been an absolute blast, and I'm extremely happy that I made the decision that I did. It's been, certainly challenging at times, as any business owner can attest to, but it's been a ton of fun.
That's awesome. And that's where I'd love to kind of take the conversation next, is the journey in entrepreneurship. In almost every conversation I've ever had, it's never a straight line of always positive things that just this happens, it's all great. Usually there's ups and downs and challenges, hurdles to go over, traditionally a ton of lessons to learn, that sort of thing. And I'd love to kind of hear from you. Typically I ask, the kind of what's the number one, like, biggest challenge or hurdle you've had to overcome. So we can either tackle that, or, going back to some of the content you put out there, you had this awesome post on the 9 lessons that you've learned over like 9 months of running the business. So I'd love to just kind of dive into that. What are some of the lessons you've learned or challenges that you've had to overcome in this journey?
Yeah. So I would say, to your point about the ups and downs, and one of the items that I mentioned in that 9 things post, is that you have to find comfort in turbulence. And what I mean by that is that, in any given week, if not day, I typically get several pieces of crappy news and several pieces of good news. And in those first couple of months, like, I let myself ride that roller coaster, and I was like, oh, we're going to the moon. And I was like, oh, we're screwed. And, I would have those back and forths way too regularly. And then I'm like, all right, but like, the balance of that is at the end of each week, like, some good things have happened, some bad things have happened. Well, we're moving forward and we're growing and we're hiring and whatever. And so, and if I'm still new at this, obviously, but I did a pretty quick realization for me. It was like, you just have to be comfortable with that. It is what it is. Hopefully there's more, good news than punches to the gut, but there will be both. And that has to be okay with you. And you have to be able to do this instead of this. So that's been a big learning, and fortunately, I feel like one that I kind of realized quickly to prevent myself from insanity.
Oh man, that's such a good way to look at. I love that piece of advice, finding comfort in turbulence. Oftentimes I talk a little bit about kind of mindset, and it kind of goes with that comfort in turbulence. What were some of the tactics or things that you put in place for you personally to start to get comfortable with turbulence, and whether it's a skill that's mastered today or not? What are some ways that if someone were to come to you and say, hey, how do we, Bart, how do I overcome that? How do I get comfortable with turbulence? What are some suggestions or tips that you may have?
Yeah. So God, I wish I had like a list of tips. I think for me personally, it was recognizing that it's like kind of a fact of owning a business, that it's like, I chose this. And in fact, something my wife reminds me of somewhat regularly, like, she thought I was insane for choosing this. But it is, it is going to happen. You will get bad news. And I kind of found myself early on, like, sharing a lot of it. We had a pretty small team originally as well. Not that it's huge now, we have about 20 folks now, but when it's 4 or 5, like I found myself sharing a lot of those, little gut punches or little successes like all the time. And it was, not very time efficient for me nor them. And I just was kind of getting everyone like emotionally riled up. And again, I had a realization of like, look, this stuff's going to happen. Everybody doesn't need to know every detail. I don't need to hone in on every detail myself. And so I think that there's kind of a change in mindset of what is truly urgent or what is truly, on fire. So I think my view of what that is changed immensely from, say, Q1 to Q4, and I probably will continue to. But yeah, I don't have a specific tip other than that. I think you just have to be aware that it's going to happen, and it's not something you can control. And maybe that freaks some people out. For me, that kind of that comforted me, that calmed me down, and be like, you know what, like this is what's going to happen, and it's okay.
That's good. I love that. Thank you. So being respectful of time, I want to shift the focus now to, from journeying kind of how you got to where you are today, and look more towards the future. So as you look at continuing to build and grow 512 Financial, what are you most excited about in the future for this business?
Yeah, I think, two things I would say. One is more business specific, and one is kind of what me personally I'm excited about. On the business side, I think we got really lucky with the timing of when we entered kind of this marketplace, so to speak. And by that I mean that I think that fractional work has become a lot more commonly used, accepted, mainstream, whatever you want to call it. And I think probably COVID has a lot to do with that, right? Like a lot of us, these are our meetings these days. Whereas before, the concept of like, wait, I'm going to have someone who's half time and I'm only going to see them in person a few days a week, if ever, like that sounds horrible. Now it's like, well, that's just usual. That's the same way that I, work with all of my counterparts today. And so I think it became a lot more comfortable to happen. And so I think it's an exciting thing for us, because I think whereas before, I think there was a smaller population of people who thought that was a logical way to use money and resources, and I think that has kind of shifted. So excited, and I feel fortunate in that we're kind of lucky with the timing of when we entered the broader marketplace. And then personally, I kind of learned something recently. So I'm a member of a EOA, Entrepreneurs Organization Accelerator. It's lots of people on this I'm sure are familiar with EO. So this is for companies doing a couple 100,000 of revenue up through $1 million or $2 million, and kind of getting those foundations in place. And we do quarterly learning days. And the most recent quarterly learning day was on strategy. And I kind of went into it like, oh, strategy is this kind of it's this kind of thing up there that's a little bit hard to specifically nail down. And so we talked about, as business owners, what's kind of our mission or purpose, not what's your company's mission or purpose, but what is yours specifically. And I had to think about it a lot. And so I came up with this recently, but I've realized that it's been a theme sort of in my life for a very long time, which is that I really love creating opportunities for people, and people could mean literal individuals, or our client companies or whatever it might be, to improve their financial health. And so, for my employees, that means like, we, as an example, we have a profit sharing mechanism at 512 Financial. So like, as successful as we are, our people are that successful. And that was very intentional, because like I wanted them to have a means to make more than they could have previously, or, whether that was with me in that smaller company or with their prior business, and then on the client side, right? Like I'm trying to find ways for them to have the resources that they would get from a full-time CFO, controller, staff accountant at 50, 60, whatever % of the cost, to improve their financial health. And so again, it was an aha moment for me that like I've never thought of myself specifically in that way. But when we went through that exercise, with the book is called Scaling Up by Vern Harnish. And so we were focused on the strategy portion. of that book and that quarterly learning day. And it was kind of a light bulb moment for me, like that this is kind of how and why I landed here. And now thinking about that with more purpose, it gets me really excited about, what we're doing and what's to come.
That is awesome. And I've got to, congratulate you for being a part of that type of a community, and having, business owners and folks that you can bounce ideas off of, and continue to look at ways of growing the business. That is truly fantastic. As you look at your journey, not just in business ownership, but just your journey through kind of your career overall, if you were to go back to, your 18-year-old self, is there, what would be one piece of advice that you would give yourself, moving forward?
Wow, that's a great question. My 18-year-old self was a mess. So there's a lot of things that I would tell him. So I would say, probably number one is, that is really tough. Again, there's a laundry list of things that I would tell that guy. I think maybe I would just focus on something that I've put an emphasis on, and again been intentional about recently, but I guess I wish I had longer ago, which is just around A, doing this, and B, surrounding yourself with people who do this, which is people who do what they say they're going to do. And that's like a really simple concept, like, of course, yeah, I say I'm going to brush my teeth, so I brush my teeth, right? Like it's really, really simple, but the value that brings, and like frankly, it might be what's helped me, gain some comfort in that turbulence, is knowing that I've surrounded myself with people who do what they say they're going to do. Both on my team, I think our clients are that way. And it just gives you like a level of steadiness and comfort, that I just like. I can't overstate how important it is, to me and to our business. So
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. I've got one final question I'd love to kind of end our conversation on today, but before jumping into that, how can others find out more about 512 Financial, to connect with you, individually, if they want to learn more, or just kind of discuss what options may look like for their business? What are the best ways to find out more information and get in contact?
yeah, for sure. Well, it's, to your point, I and the company are pretty active on LinkedIn, so you can find me specifically there. You can find the company's page there. You can visit our website for information on what we do, how we do it, how we engage with our clients or prospective clients. There's a careers page, so you can learn about what opportunities we have available, and an events page, which will be added to over time. For now, the only item there is the recording of a roundtable we did with a bunch of with a bunch of banks on how scaling companies can go out and get debt. So that recording is on our website. But yeah, I would say LinkedIn and website are the two easiest ways, and you can certainly reach out to me anytime on LinkedIn or Bart.Davis at 512financial.com.
Excellent. It's beautiful. And we'll make sure to kind of connect everyone the best we can with some of those resources on how to connect with you, when we kind of put this information out there for y'all.
Awesome.
So, all right, finishing off, kind of final question I'd love to end the conversation on. And that is this: Bart, what is most inspiring to you today?
Yeah, I think it goes back to what I mentioned, being excited about on the personal front, and so that inspiration is trying to help people. I guess it's most specifically people, I think, improve their financial health. So again, that could be, it is most frequently thinking about my employees, but it's also thinking about peers. Is there a real estate investment opportunity? Is there let's talk about what's going on in the market. Let's talk about how our client companies can get access to cash, whatever method that is. It's a geeky answer, but it genuinely is inspirational and exciting to me, to try to create those types of opportunities for people.
Amazing. Absolutely love that. I'm inspired just hearing what inspires you. So I appreciate you sharing that. Bart, I appreciate you taking the time to sit down and chat with us today. This has been a phenomenal conversation. So just thank you so much for being here. For all you listening, go check out 512 Financial, connect with Bart on LinkedIn, and let's have some conversations about fractional CFOs. It's such an important thing, especially as we look at the next 18 months or so in the economy. So Bart, thank you so much for being here, and appreciate you.
Yeah, pleasure was all mine, Tanner. Thanks a ton.